Hey everyone, I'm Jennifer Regular and welcoming you to Awaken and Ascend. So excited for this episode, but I have a question for you. Why is it so important to align with our purpose? This creates so much confusion in people about what their purpose actually is and how to actually align with it. We're not talking about balance so much these days. It's really about alignment. And we are talking about living your light and illuminating your path with Gloria Grace Rand today. She is a self-love mentor and a best-selling author of Live, Love, Engage: How to Stop Doubting Yourself and Start Being Yourself. Applying her signature L.O.V.E love method with intuitive coaching and energy healing, she is empowering women over 50 to love themselves and the way that they're living. Grace, Gloria, whoever you want to call yourself.
I
We
know,
go
I
through
know.
so many different versions of ourselves, don't we? And I find
Oh,
there's
yeah.
a quote from Maya Angelou. I used to have like a little cushion quote thing on my door that said, "The woman who reinvents herself daily shows sublime creativity." So I
Ooh,
love
I
that you
love
play around with
that.
Gloria, Grace, and welcome. I'm so happy that you're here.
Well, thank you. I'm so glad to be here too. And the reason why it's Gloria Grace now, it used to be just Gloria Rand, but when I went on my spiritual journey, I realized that my mom gave me this awesome middle name. I should probably use it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
And I know you be on this podcast and you have so much grace. And so you're always exuding that. And I know the audience is going to feel it too. And we're talking about living your light, living
mm.
your actual light. And a friend of mine, Malia Helson, many years ago, she's a soul-centered astrologer, shared with me an acronym for light, which I thought was pretty cool. You want to hear about it?
Ooh, yes, please.
It's living in God's highest truth. Living in
Ooh,
God's highest truth. That's the Light we get from light. Isn't that
wow.
amazing? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
In fact,
really
my soul
dive,
just went, woo.
woo! Yeah. And when you dive deep into that, whether you believe in a God or the God of your understanding, your higher power, you really feel into that we're living in our highest truth, living in God's highest truth, living in our highest power, and
Mhm.
illuminating our path forward. And I am super excited that about a month from now, we have a whole retreat around this topic. But today, we're just going
Yeah.
to give a little taste of what it's like to actually live your light. You've written a whole book, you have your own podcast about how to live, love, and engage with life, stop doubting ourselves. I'm curious, Grace, what led you on that path? What inspired you to inspire others in this way?
Mm. Well, it's, yeah, I was actually journaling about this a little bit this morning, because it really, yeah, getting emotional just thinking about it.
Mhm.
It was really uh, losing my sister to cancer a couple months before she transitioned was when this idea came to me to write a book about love. And it was it, and then in going through that journey of first grieving and then starting to dig into what this book was about, it really was about starting to own the truth of who I am and to really go back to even remembering who I was, because we're one way as we're kids, and then we go through and become an adult, and we put on all these different masks to whether you're an employee or an employer, or you're a wife, or you're a daughter at first, then you're a sister, all these different things. But at its core, it's we are, and again, this is my belief. I believe that we are divine, created in God's image. We are divine beings living this human life, and we need to honor that, because we have this light within us, and we need to shine it in the world so that others can see it, because there is so much darkness that is trying to pull us down. But when we can shine our light more fully and really this um step into who we are, who we came here to be, who we really were as children, and to get back to that
Mhm.
space,
Mhm.
that it will lift up so many other people. And we we owe it to ourselves, number one, and we owe it to humanity to be that best person that we can possibly be. And yeah, I don't know if I really explained that, answered your
Oh
question,
no, it's
but it's
beautiful.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I just it took me on this journey that I had to, like I said, I came up with that subtitle about how to stop doubting yourself and start being yourself, to really own that, I am a light in the world as we all are. And I want people to be able to align with their higher self as talk about as well, so that we can really just create magic in the world because we are magical creatures too.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. I really feel that in that story too. And it actually took me back to when I wrote my first book, Embrace Your Power, a healing
Mm,
journal of self-discovery. And the first section on that was about coming out of the darkness and into the
mm,
light as well. And you're right, we're uplifting each other and lifting each other up, and our own alignment is helping us to align with all the support and resources that we need to fully be ourselves and be able to express ourselves, what truly
mm,
matters to us, and really stand by our values. I know a lot of
mm.
people are really honing in on integrity these
Yeah,
days as well, like really embodying that, which means being authentic no matter who we are, how we are, who we're with, how we're
right.
living, that we're living in alignment with our values and in our highest light and making our
Hmm.
highest contribution. And this alignment creates such deep connection and connection with all the other light leaders and light workers in the world as well, and how we came together and how we continue to come more and more together. And I see that through the Leadership Ascension Alliance, what I just developed, and, just doing podcasts, guesting and hosting and just meeting with
Mm,
people and networking and building those relationships, because I do feel like it's not so much about our individual missions anymore. It's really about collective transformation right now. So many people
yes.
are waking up to what's not working in their lives, how they're really not serving and not honoring. As you said, I
Yeah.
thought that was such an important word, of honoring our path, honoring our
Hmm.
gifts, honoring who we truly are. There's been so much self-neglect. There's so much of,
Yeah.
moving through fear and obligation and guilt rather than our true passion. And when I talk about passion, I talk about, when you break up the word, it's pass I on. And
Mm,
that I is your soul's expression of what you're here to pass
right.
on in this lifetime.
Yeah.
And so our retreat that's coming up goes so deep into that. And I'm so excited for it.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yes.
have clearing those energetic blocks, the things that are getting in our
Mhm.
way, and even bringing in light language and
Mhm.
being able to align with our purpose and giving people some concrete steps to do that, but also just coming together in that space to help be present with each other, be present with ourselves, and fully feel into who are we and what are we doing here, and have an opportunity to shift the trajectory if it's not going in the
Mhm.
direction that we want. And so, what kind of things did you discover along your journey, Grace, that, kind of held you back at times? And what was it that helped you move through that so you stayed in truth, your own truth, and what's true for your path and where you were headed?
Sure. Well, I think part of it was how I grew up, and um, my family, everybody has some kind of stuff. So, my dad was an alcoholic, and so, it was a bit of a trying time growing up in that household, and so my default way of surviving was to be the people pleaser, and to just, be the good girl, and just try to not have to make waves because there was a lot of conflict and going on. And that was a good survival strategy. However, that then continued as an adult. And I found that when I got into a relationship with my husband, that I started just sort of deferring to him and just letting him sort of lead the way, and just to again kind of go with the flow. And of course, in retrospect, it was like that was how I dealt with my mother, and his birthday is like the day after my mother's. ding ding, bell
Oh.
should have rung. I married a Pisces after being, raised in a family of Pisces. And it was like, but it
Mhm.
was the lesson I had to learn. I had to be able to look at that and look at, how I was behaving. And it got to a point where, again, kind of through writing the book and some other things that I realized that I don't want to live this way anymore.
Mhm.
Love him and we're still in good communication and everything. However, I'm not living with him anymore. And it's much better because I've been able to now again stand on my own 2 feet. And this is part of also I really feel in a way that even though I miss my sister every day, I
Mhm.
feel she also gave me a gift that she wanted me to be able to stand on my own 2 feet.
Oh.
And that's why she had decided to leave when she did.
Mm.
And I'm grateful for that, because I was hiding my light. I was there a little bit, but I wasn't really stepping fully into who I could be. And I don't know if any of your listeners or viewers are interested in like the gene keys at all. I'm like
Mhm.
totally immersed in them at the moment. And
Mhm.
like, one of my keys, the city is light. The other city is grace. So I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
this is in my DNA
Oh,
to
yeah.
embody this stuff anyway, which is so kind of cool and confirming that I'm on the right track now, and then I'm really wanting to be able to then, help others. I mean, I've got a program too called Align to Shine Academy, so that's what I'm, wanting to help other women do. To
Yeah.
be able to shine their light, and so yeah, that's kind of where my journey took me, and it's it takes some time, especially now as we were married a long time, over 30 years. And so it wasn't exactly easy making
Mhm.
that transition,
Mm.
but, it's so much the better now. So, follow your path.
Follow your path. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And sometimes you have to figure out what that path is. And I know, and
Well,
that's
it's definitely not
what I went
linear.
through too, which is why we're going to do this retreat to help them help people, right? To be able to figure that
Absolutely.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you touched on a couple of really great points too, and one of them being how we give away our power and
Mm.
leak our energy,
Yeah.
and then we become fragmented and diffused and start feeling depleted and burnt out and holding back our true potential and feeling that resistance. It feels heavy. And then also in terms of how we can s- decide
Mm.
to do something differently. That pivotal moment where I've heard you say, and I've heard countless women and men, and no matter how you identify, say,
Right.
I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I won't do this anymore. This is no longer working for me.
Mhm.
And even though may feel strong in that or victimized by, oh, I just can't do this anymore, we
Mm.
can switch that to, I won't do this anymore. You can see how I
Yeah.
can't do this anymore. I kind of
Right.
slump, not really in their power. I
Yeah.
won't do this anymore. Confident,
Exactly.
decisive,
Yep.
and doing that. But even in that decisiveness, there's a lot of trepidation. It takes
Oh yeah.
a
Yes.
lot of courage to change, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I still remember, just having this conversation with my husband and like, just being like, we were in our bedroom and I was kind of like, okay, okay, you can do this, you can do this. And it's like, dear, and it was not easy. And it's so necessary. And once you do take these first steps, it really does get easier. And one of the things that I wrote about in my book, that LOVE method that you talked about, is
Mm-hmm.
is what has helped me because it's about, sort of letting go of the fear and letting go of expectations of how everything has to be perfect, and things like that. And just really letting God be that deciding or directing force for you and to value who you are, value your uniqueness is the V in that, and embrace your divinity.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace the fact that you are this amazing creation, and that you are worthy of all of the love and abundance and joy that you want. So so claim it.
Yes.
Darn it.
Claim it. Yes, claim that. Yeah, and I love that you spoke about claiming your divinity and being in that state of grace because spiritual sovereignty, really claiming that and owning that is actually the antidote to imposter syndrome, which a
Mm,
lot of people
yeah.
tend to feel and experience as well before they're
Hmm.
fully ready to step into where they are. So it's actually a good sign if you're
Yeah.
experiencing that, if you're feeling that, you know that there's something there inside of you that
Mm,
you want to birth and that you want to share. And, having some fear around that, feeling like an imposter is a good sign that you are
mm,
on the right path, that there is something there that's available. And it really helps to have the people around you to provide that support, to be at the same
mm.
frequency and vibration, to
Oh
help you
yeah.
hold that intention of
Mhm.
aligning with your purpose, of expressing your truth, of being who you truly are and taking a
Yeah.
stand for what you believe in and what your conviction is, and then being able to devote your life to that,
Yeah.
without the fear, obligation, and guilt that usually
Mhm.
hold us and traps us basically in living a version of ourselves that isn't true, isn't,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
who we truly are.
Yeah, and that support piece is so important. I know when I was fortunate enough to be in a mastermind right after my sister had passed, and so at the end of that year, it was so wonderful to be able to have. It was for business, but really it was the personal support that I received from all the members that really made the difference and helping me get through that. And no matter where you are in life, if you can get some type of support, whether it's being in a group program, attending a retreat like we're going to do, or working with a coach, it's so important to help you because sometimes we don't see things even, or we don't even hear what we're saying. Sometimes I know I've had that experience where I was working with a coach and she's like, did you hear what you just said? And I'm like, no, what did I say? And then it was like, oh, ooh, okay, yeah, that's not how I want to be. That's not how I want to show up in the world. I don't want to have that type of
Mm-hmm.
limiting belief that I'm just spewing out there. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I encourage all of you out there listening to, get that support.
Yeah. Yeah, because the shadow side of that, the darker side of support, is falling into the traps of people pleasing, right? So that we
Right.
don't lose their support, that we don't
Yeah.
lose their love, as if, that was a real thing, that we have to succumb to their needs and expectations and ways of living and doing that isn't necessarily true for us and who we are. And that's why we start losing ourselves in that
Mm,
work and in those relationships because we're not standing in our full power in who we truly are. So, really gathering the right kind of support, the right kind of conditions that help you thrive so you don't just fall into ways of needing to survive, that fear, obligation, and guilt, people pleasing, looking for external validation and approval, right?
mhm,
That's like
mhm,
the biggest lie is getting support from those sources. The
mhm.
true source of power comes from within and
Oh yeah.
people who are going to lift you up and empower you. And so, yeah, live your light. That's what the retreat's all about. And actually, you'll find
Yes.
a link to that below if you're interested in that and this is resonating with you. And I'd love to see in the comments too, what are some of the things that you have fallen in a trap with? Is it people pleasing, perfectionism? Those are really big ones. Not
Yeah.
understanding or really knowing your gift or kind of losing your sense of self. You're not alone. You're
Right.
not the only one feeling that. I felt that. Grace has felt that. So many of our audience and other guests that
Yeah.
have been on the show have felt that. It's a real thing. And once we
Mhm,
declare that and we admit that, we realize that we can be strong and vulnerable at the same time.
mhm,
And then we can really expand into a fuller expression of who we are without denying any part of ourselves. And that's how we begin to really live our light and be able to illuminate our path because then you start magnetizing all the things that you
mhm.
need to support you on your journey. So, yeah, I highly
Yeah.
recommend you check
Yeah.
out the retreat. But even just the comments and engaging with us is going to bring you to a different place. Small shifts, small
Mhm.
steps, they all lead you forward.
Yeah, that's so key is doing that. You know, it's one step at a time. You don't
Yeah,
expect to have everything solved for you. I know I wanted that early on, a few years
yeah.
back. I was like, why can't I just be fixed now? And it's like,
Right.
oh, yeah, it's not. Life is a journey. Okay, and we're constantly unpeeling layers. We're like big onions, and that's okay as long as we
Yeah.
keep growing. We keep learning and growing. That's the important thing. Yeah.
Absolutely. It is the important thing. And what else do you think is important, Grace, on our journey to be able to keep our spirit intact, to be able to keep shining our light, even if
Mm.
we feel that there's so much darkness around us? How do we keep up with that?
Well, I think the first thing and what I always am, sharing with my clients is finding that time to be with yourself.
Mm,
So whether that is spending time, whether that's meditating, whether it's going out for a walk, whether it's journaling, whether it's prayer, whenever you can just spend that time to go within and get quiet and listen for that inner voice
mhm,
because there's so much going on, so much noise out there. Limit maybe some of the social media you're on, and just or at least carve out some time for yourself every day. I mean, I have what I call my non-negotiable. That in the morning I go for a walk and then I come back and I meditate. And those
mm.
are my two things because I got to get some exercise because I found that if I meditate first, I don't always want to go for a walk. So it's like, okay, we're gonna walk first. I got to get the exercise in first, and then I will meditate because that's my best ideas, frankly, come from meditating. I mean, that's where the idea for the book came in. It was like I heard
Mm.
this voice say, "You need to write a book about love," and I'm like, "That's crazy. Why would I do that?" I do marketing. That's what I was doing at the time. I was like, marketing, what? But um, but you have to give yourself that gift. Give yourself the gift of getting to know yourself, your
Mm,
higher self, not just that little ego monkey mind, but that higher
yeah.
self that loves you unconditionally.
Mm,
Whereas the ego can be that, if you hear that critical voice, that's not your higher self.
no.
Your higher self loves you just as you are, shadows and all.
It does. And even going for a walk, meditating, those are great suggestions. It's nice how we can stack, the different ways of self-care because,
Yeah.
you build a routine of that, but you go for a walk outdoors, right? And you can
Yeah.
go on a nature trail and really appreciate the beauty, the elements, and even tuning into your own flow.
Mhm.
How's your earth, air, fire, and water running through you? And how are you harmonizing those things? And how are the elements supporting plant life and the animals? And
Yeah.
being able to experience all forms of weather and
Mhm.
beauty and seeing the birds and because I'm saying birds because there's a bunch of them flying out here right now looking ahead over my computer and there's some flickers going around and it's lots of snow here in BC right now but it's beautiful because it's also very bright even though it's cold and then you have
Yeah.
the forest and the trees and nature itself is very healing and then
Hmm.
there's all those light codes that come in too, that
Yeah.
we have access to. And our eyes need that natural light as well.
Hmm.
And you just open up to all these different ideas, inspiring ideas. And this is
Yeah.
what I always recommend for people too, is about creating space for that, allowing
Right.
the inspiration to come through, and then
Mhm.
taking inspired action.
Yes.
Not the,
Yes. That's
hustling,
right.
pressured, gotta do this, kind of energy
No.
but actually feeling inspired. And that's
Yeah.
part of the alignment in your
Right.
purpose as well, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Hmm.
I was actually writing an article about this the other
Oh,
just
yeah.
earlier today, as a matter of fact, the importance of then taking action. That it's but yes, but it was inspired action. And
Hmm.
and and again, don't feel you have to do everything all at once. Just, take one step at a time.
That's right. And that action is what activates your potential,
Right. Yes. Yes. Because
right?
the
So,
universe loves action. It
yes.
wants you to get into action. I think it helps. It becomes this reinforcement. The more you do, the more then ideas will come to you, and then you start acting on those, and it's just this perpetual motion machine, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. The
Of
universe
goodness.
is like, all right, we got her. Let's
Yeah.
go, and it
Yeah.
builds momentum and you feel
Yes.
that. You feel
Yeah.
that. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's that feeling of aliveness and joy and bliss and fulfillment that comes when
Yeah.
you're in your flow that way.
Right.
Yeah. Anything else you think we should share with the audience, Grace?
Oh, good gosh. I just encourage everyone out there to um, to just go back to that honor the light within you.
Mhm.
And there's there's that wonderful Marianne Williamson quote about, who are you to not shine your light. I'm butchering the quote. Go Google it. You'll find it. But really, it's
Mhm.
like, you are this amazing person, and um, and you owe it to yourself to be yourself, and and if you need support to do that, come to our retreat, and maybe that will be one way, or or comment below, or figure out something else for yourself. Um but just stop hiding your light. Just be out there. Shine. We
Yes.
need more light in the world.
Yes, please.
And if you're watching this, frankly, you're already called to this anyway. You wouldn't be
Right.
here.
Hmm.
So take that next step then, whatever that is for you.
Thank you so much for that. Honoring the light within. I love that so much.
Hmm.
And Grace, one more thing I'd love for you to share is how people can connect with you, find out more about your work. How would you like people to do that?
Well, let's see. I would say two main ways. You can definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. That's my social media platform of choice right now. And you can just look for Gloria Grace Rand, or you can go to my website as well. And I've got some free resources there. I actually have. You can sign up to receive some daily inspirational messages in your email. So if you go to gloriarand.com, you'll see it right there on the homepage, and you can sign up for that. And yeah, I think that's the best way. And then, of course, click the link below and learn some more about a retreat and see if that calls to you as well.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And I'll make it easy for y'all. You just go into the video description there. All the links are there for you. Just click into that. You'll find me on there as well and ways to get in touch with me. Gloria, Grace friend, it has been such a pleasure, such an honor to be with you and, feel your light and your energy and be in your love and how that's growing more and more every day. It's just been such a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing all of that with us today.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And you are truly lighting the path for everyone who comes in your sphere. And so I so appreciate you and honor you for all the work you're doing. And I'm so excited to do this new venture with you, because I think it's going to be amazing and
Yes.
enlightening. Haha.
Pun intended.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and we'd love all of you that have been tuning in to join us too. So check out that link below for the Live Your Light retreat to illuminate your path and join us again next time on Awaken and Ascend. I'm Jennifer Regular. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.
I